What's good, y'all? Iovar has been officially announced. He'll be coming on the weekend as data leaked already. It is pretty scary how much power the data leakers have about what is actually going on. So yeah, Iovar's announced. Iovar will be an ancient banner, and it is our job to figure out if he's worth it. I know not everybody has a lot of ancients, but you still have a chance to get him if you pull for him, or there are those that have been holding their ancients for quite a long time. So we're going to answer the question of is he actually worth going for, as well as giving you a general idea of what to expect from the meta, if there are going to be any changes with the introduction of Iowa. And for that, mainly we'll be competing or comparing him against Silas and Hex, because I'm pretty certain that most of you already know that Aracha really isn't anything to go by when it comes to damage or usefulness outside of Lord bonus.
Our research begins.
So, yeah, let's go over the skills real quick. I already made a video that explained it in 5 minutes, but we'll try to make it a bit faster here. Let's see if we can. So, talent. He conjures a flying sword every 4 seconds, and he can have at most 12 of the swords. You can see them behind him. At the same time, every allied marksman on the field increases the speed of flying swords. When there are 4 extra marksmen in battle, so him with 4 other marksmen, the conjuring speed maxes out, reaching 1 flying sword every 2 seconds. So it goes from 4 seconds down to 2 seconds, which means a 0.5 reduction in flying sword conjunction, summoning, whatever. Next off, we have upon casting the ultimate, reduces the attack interval by 20%, and each attack deals 75% damage 3 times. This effect lasts for 10 seconds. If an ultimate consumes 12 flying swords, the duration of this effect increases by 5 seconds, so we have a 15-second victorious pursuit. Now, the basic attack normally deals 120% total by attacking twice, and here we deal 225% by attacking 3 times, as well as reducing the attack interval by 20%. Which in our example, let's have a quick look at gear. From 1 second would be going down very simply all the way to 0.8 seconds of attack interval. Then we have after an allied marksman casts their ultimate, he gains a flying sword, and the following 3 attacks of the 0 ignore an extra 30% defense. So yeah, so just some nice defense penetration that activates as soon as you trigger an ultimate, which kind of gives you that that Eagle vibe. You kind of get that Eagle vibe in the sense that you can time ultimates to allow him to do more damage against certain enemies. So yeah, that's quite nice. And then we have consumes all flying swords and activates the flying sword formation to continuously deal 40% damage to the enemy with the lowest HP and range. The frequency of strikes increases with the number of flying swords, reaching up to 60 strikes with 12 flying swords. So the important part is the more flying swords you have, the more damage you deal. Strike wise, you have 5 strikes per sword, 10 swords, 50 strikes, 12 swords, 60 strikes, 40% damage per strike, so 10 strikes for 100% damage, 50 strikes, 2000% damage, which means we're dealing with 2400% damage in a 3-second window. So 2400, 3 seconds, 800% damage per second, as well as a 500 ult cooldown, which is basically one of the lowest, if not the lowest ult cooldown in the entire game, as well as a starting range of 300. Yeah, kid looks strong. The only important part is how good are the multipliers, how good are his base stats, what can we expect. So let's talk a bit about him. Even though he has swords, and swords do seem like the thing you would use on a melee unit, surprisingly enough, Iovar is a marksman, obviously a marksman himself. And attack wise he has 4255. If we compare that against the Silas real quick, at 3788, 787, and Hex at 3897, you can see that his base stats are definitely higher and really are going towards the ridiculous range. Furthermore, we'll be going over him with the Spirit Siphon, and the set we'll be using for most of the testing is going to be our standard testing Soulbound Arcana set. Now let's just go over the Awakenings real quick, and we'll test those Awakenings towards the end of the video, so no need to worry about that. Alright, so enhanced. When the ultimate ends, there's a 40% chance of generating 4 flying swords immediately. Sounds nice, and especially because you do try to want to trigger the ultimate every time you have 12 flying swords to take advantage of the passive. That means you only need to generate 8 flying swords instead of 12. Then we have the increased faction team members damage to airborne units by 8%, which is just a flat of 8% airborne multiplier. Oh, that reminds us of the fact that we haven't yet talked about his Lord bonus. So, his Lord bonus increases stats by 15%, pretty standard, and faction team members attack range also increase, the same for Aracha. And then we have, when deployed, faction team members damage increases by 15% every 20 seconds. So, in a minute you're going to get a 45% damage increase. Pretty strong. If we want to, we can compare that to Aracha's. So let's get ourselves Aracha here. Aracha's Lord effect states the exact same thing, and then for every 1 tile away from the target increases their damage by 5%. So to get the same 45% bonus that Iovar provides, you would technically need to be away 9 tiles, which obviously might be reachable in Guild Boss, but that's really just about it. So yeah, in general, Iovar, at least for most stages, probably is also going to be providing a bigger damage boost. Now, next off, we have the A3, which is going to be duration of victorious pursuit plus 5 seconds. So this already lasts for 10 seconds if you consume 12 flying swords. The main reason why you want to consume 12 increases the duration to 15 seconds, and with this one you increase the base duration from 10 to 15, and then with increase from 15 to 20 seconds. Then we have 8% crit rate, and for lastly, when deployed, immediately obtains 12 flying swords, which seems really good for a burst character, though I feel like it doesn't really make all that much of a difference when you get to later stages of a fight. So unless you want to burst something down, this A5 really doesn't seem all that special. So yeah, we talked about the kit, we got rid of all that, we discussed the plan. Chapters as always in the description, and as usual, if you appreciate the time and effort, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, tell me who to test next. And yeah, I guess if you want to pull for Iovar, if you're interested in him, maybe if you like his design, and we see each other as soon as we are in the first test. Alright, so here we go. Very first test is going to be AMR Iovar versus Silas versus Hex. Set wise, we'll be going with the exact same Sovereign Arcana set we've already shown off on all 3 characters. We could go with an Inferno set on Silas, though that might actually buy him an advantage, which means we'll be going with the same Sovereign Arcana set on all. And yeah, that's already about it. We'll be going in, you can see in the top left we have a timer right there. That timer will be triggered as soon as we place on our first unit, and this first run is going to be Iovar, and the other 2 you're going to be seeing sped up versions added in later. So here we go. Iovar time, Iovar in, Brock here in, and we're staying at 1 time speed, just so it doesn't get confusing with the timer and the speed of the in-game state, if that makes sense. So here we can already go with Iovar. Iovar is pretty fast in getting ready. Though to be honest, for his very first ultimate, I wouldn't say this was very impressive. Though the answer is he is a bit handicapped. Like, look at the flying swords. We have a grand total of 4. So we're dealing about a third of the ultimate damage we could be dealing. Alright, so here we go. The fight is paused. We'll restart the timer. Timer's ready. Alright, fight is paused. Timer's ready. We'll unpause, start the timer, put in Iovar, put in Brock here, and let the fight go. So yeah, the first thing you're going to notice is obviously the fact that Iovar's ultimate is basically already ready. But if you take a look at his ultimate right here, you see we are only triggering it with 2 swords, mainly for the purpose of stacking the Sovereign Arcana set, but that's 2 out of 12 swords. So Iovar is a bit handicapped in this stage in the sense that he's the only marksman on the field, which limits the amount of flying swords he's actually producing. Constance is just there to keep Brock here alive. for the off chance that he actually dies, we're not going to trigger her because her ultimate may coincide better with a certain hero in comparison to someone else, buying them an unfair advantage. So what we've seen here is that we can kind of calculate with 4 swords. So Iovar is going to have around 4 swords every time he ults. I don't think there are going to be a bunch of more of these. So we have 3 swords. There we go, 4 of them. So yeah, for the moment, we're already looking at a minute down, 40% HP, and it doesn't really look like there's a lot that is going to change here. We'll again obviously activate Brock here, just to provide some more Sovereign Arcana set. Wrath is already active, and now with Abomination triggering, I believe we're already at full stacks. Next Iovar ult, bringing him down by another 5%. It really isn't all that much. Stat wise, you might find something to complain, but honestly the attack is high enough, the crit damage is more than high enough, so it's not like it's the stats fault that Iovar is performing this slow. Now the real question is, how slow is he actually going to be in comparison to Silas and Hex? Are we going to see any big surprises? So yeah, the biggest takeaway here, I guess, is if you play him alone, you're never going to reach your 12 sword goal to make use of his passive and get the most out of his ultimate. So we're closing in on 2 minutes and 18 seconds. The fight is done. We can stop the timer here. Should have probably hit the play instead of boom, power timer's over, but that's fine enough. So 2:18. How's the result of Hex and Silas going to be? You'll see in just a bit. So now that we've got the AMR test out of the way, we need to figure out one important thing. Sovereign Arcana or Infernal Roar. The odds that Sovereign Arcana loses are rather low with the way that it's still glitched and you can use anyone's ult to up the stacks. But we still gotta give it a good test and see how big the difference actually is. And for that, the very best feature that we're hopefully getting ASAP, so I know that's going to come with the next update, but when that is, I don't know, is this feature right here where we already prepared the test SA set. And if we equip that one, we can also compare it to our test IR set and see that the only difference between these two sets is 28 attack, 4 attack speed, and 5% crit damage. So the IR set has 5% more crit damage, 4 less attack, and 28 less, 4 less attack speed, 28 less attack. So we'll be using these two sets to figure out which set is going to be our choice for Iovar. And the way we do that is by looking at this funky team. So yeah, I guess we can do that obviously together. And then I just do the IR test separately and give you the results to not take away too much of your time. So Gepers, we'll be going in very simply. Iovar gets placed. everything normal. And then we put down Hex, Silas, her, and Nyx, all facing downward. Now you might be wondering, wait, why are we facing downward? The answer is very, very simple. Alright, so here we go. Iovar gets placed first. Then we put down Hex, Silas, Nyx, and what's her name? Esme. So all of them are placed down. The main reason we have them here is so we have 4 other marksmen to trigger his talent, and also other marksmen that we can trigger their ultimate off while not looking at the boss to provide us a Sword and Arcana set, and their whole purpose is they're just going to stay there and do absolutely nothing. We might as well activate auto ults, and this is how we're going to run this test. This is only the easy difficulty, so no one's going to get attacked, but this is going to give us a very good idea of what is going to give us the most impact in terms of damage, because this test is going to scale scale rather well into even high level guild boss. So yeah, that is pretty much it, and we don't even need to worry about swapping in a Laurel, providing all that rage buff, because we're already at 5 stacks. It doesn't actually make a difference. So from here I just speed it up, and then we'll be back at the results. Time for a quick result. What do these results tell us? So right here with 60.253 million we have the Infernal Raw set, and with 66.28 million we have the Sorbonne Arcana set. The answer is very simple. At the moment Sorbonne Arcana is slightly stronger, but as soon as Sorbonne Arcana gets fixed, if it ever does, Infernal Raw is going to be your premier set of choice. The only reason Sorbonne Arcana can keep up is because it instantly gets the 50% buff. Without it, the numbers wouldn't be nearly as comparable, and that concludes that both sets work. So if you don't have good Sorbonne Arcana set, just go with an IR set. And yeah, really surprising, but I mean, Sorbonne Arcana being glitched, this is what it is. Alright, so while we go over the gear, or while I show you the gear with your standard Twin Fiend, high attack speed, high rage regen, high crit damage, the big question is, what are we going to do still? There's 2 things. Number 1, we'll be running this run while using Iovar's ultimate as frequently as possible, and then after we'll run the exact same run, but we're going to wait for 12 swords, because with 12 swords we're going to be able to get Victorious Pursuit for 5 seconds longer, and the question is if it's worth the trade-off. So yeah, you've seen Satcham, we got a bit, it's pretty standard build. Obviously it's all very good builds that are going to pack a punch. Satcham is A5 because I don't have another copy to put in as A1. Zilla2 is A3 because I don't have another copy to put in as A0. Obviously it also goes for Satcham. Right here we have high attack speed, high attack, high crit rate, high crit damage. Wailing Skull, Satcham's artifact is going to be his own exclusive artifact. Dolores we already know this build from this video, so Infernal Roar, high attack, high rage regen, keen wisdom. Hollow is again same thing. We'll be having high attack speed, high rage regen, and euphoric orb for that slightly better buff. Takeover set, you also know Takeover set already, which is going to be this overpowered Sorbonne Arcana set, again with the Spirit Siphon, and the Spirit Siphon is also going to be sitting on Silas, though that gives me an idea. How about we put Spirit Siphon also on Satcham, so we can compare 3 units using Spirit Siphon in rather comparable builds. Volca is back to an Invigoration set with some slight rage regen, not that we're going to place her at all. Laurel with Invigoration set, and Astrid with a damage focus or attack focused Sorbonne Arcana set, but her gear really isn't as important as the other ones. So here we go. What can we expect? Obviously 50k. maybe 60, potentially 70. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be hoping for, and I am slightly transparent. Ain't that great? So, Iovar in invigoration buff, Silas in invigoration buff. Can we get an invigoration buff to him somehow? No. So Setram in, Dolores in, Zilitu in invigoration buff. And then Twin Fiend outside of Laurel range. Even though it might be more efficient to have Twin Fiend right there and Setram all the way at the top. But in this case we do want to boost Iovar's ultimate, which is already ready right here. We're going to wait a bit, just a tiny bit, until we hit 72% rage to start with our cycle of Zilitu and Twin Fiend. So we should be, we should be able to trigger Dolores' ultimate barely before it goes off. Can go here. Iovar is already ready again. So I don't know, this doesn't seem like a case of, oh, maybe we should wait until we can swap him in, because if we waited for 12 swords right there, we would have wasted that beautiful Laurel opportunity. So I don't know. It kind of seems to be oh, he has a nice part in his kit, but you're never really going to need it because rage region meta is just too strong type of deal. But hey, oh, at least it exists. At least this part in his kit does exist. So yeah, for those wondering, the rage region is going pretty well for, or not the rage region, the death down is going rather well with Astrid. Though obviously with the Torador we would have a way cleaner 100% uptime. So yeah, Astrid, it's time for you to go again. Use him, swap out, swap in. And Zilitu is going to be lacking a bit of damage just because Twin Fiend doesn't necessarily get the extra rage region from Laurel. Though we should at least see a few higher numbers from our friend Setram over here. Even though we can't quite trigger him here. Alright, let's continue on. Another ultimate. It is a lot of ultimates. And we're already at 20k damage at 250. So yeah, I mean 50k is going to be a piece of cake. About the rest though, hard to judge honestly. Here we can go with the ultimates. Out with her. Bring in. Put in. Swap out, go in. On we go. We should be hitting somewhere close to 30k just by this push alone. Dolores, I think Dolores didn't trigger with her 20% chance, but honestly it's not too bad. Yeah, here we are already close at 30k. So a general standpoint is, if you want to hit 50k, you want around 25 at 230 and around 30 to 31k by the time the next shield comes up. Those are like pretty safe measures when it comes to actually hitting that 50k. Astrid can go again. Here we can trigger, wait out a bit to make the most of our ultimates. Go out. Yeah, honestly, I'm not that confident. I'm not that confident in waiting making much sense with Iovar. So there we go. Volca, I mean, her ultimate pretty much does nothing. But we're going to keep her in regardless. Alright. Yeah. She can go now. So we are able to break the sheet. We are at 40k. So it's not even going to be such a crazy score, which is really surprising with the lineup we're rocking at the moment, I gotta admit. Here we want to wait for Silas. And here we can go with the death down. It's not like Astrid's damage is going to matter much, so we're going to waste our artifact just a bit. So here we are with the 50. So I'm guessing like 60k. We should be able to reach 60k in like in the last 40 seconds. Twin did went off before before Dolores timed out, so that's beautiful. Astrid, where are you? You need to go. We need to swap you out. Just so we can trigger those few more ultimates. Then Iovars, Twin Fiends, 57. Honestly, with the lineup we are rocking, I would be expecting a bit more. Though it might also be the fact that we are running Twin Fiend outside of the range, and Setrum is probably not gonna have all that impressive of a score. So, how did he do? He did alright. So, I mean, I guess simple conclusion is going to be he's better than your Aracha. You can rock him on the field. You can expect around 100 million damage. But no, by no means is he going to be able to compete with your A5 Silases, A3 Silases, even A1 Silases, even A0 Silases. Nor is he going to compete with Hex. Because Hex with his exclusive artifact will be somewhere in the 300 millions. And there's no shot that Iovar is gonna be changing anything there. So is he gonna be meta changing? No. Is he someone that can replace a Silas or a Hex in your formation? Abso-fucking-lutely. He is someone that makes it viable to run Hex and him and Silas. But yeah. I mean, 110 million is 110 million. There's nothing much you can say against that. And Zillitu is also performing quite well, but it is expected with her having her A3. So yeah, just for shits and giggles, we'll figure out what he does at A1, A3, A5. And after that, I'll also see if it makes a difference with its rings. But to be honest, at least for Guild Boss, I don't think I need to test it. Alright, so to finish off this video, let's talk about probably the most saddest awakenings I've ever seen. So here we have a Guild Boss damage comparison between Iovar from A0 all the way to A5. A0 deals a grand total of 110 million damage, or 111 if you round it up. Then you get at maximum a 10% damage increase from the A1. Then a slight increase in comparison to the A1, but overall total still only like a 20% damage bonus if you go to A3. And the difference between A3 and A5 is non-existent. So if you go to A5, you can expect a 20% increase in your Iovar's damage. Let me remind you that there's Hex that deals 100 million at A0 and 300 million at A5. Yeah. But that is good news for everyone besides Venom. Yes, Venom, I'm talking to you. The important part here is Iovar is at his strongest or at his most valuable pretty much with the single copy, which is good news. So if you like his design, if you like what you've seen in this video, feel free to go for him. Me personally, I'm still indecisive. If he's worth it using my Lord Pity for in comparison to going for someone way cooler like Valderon. Peace out.